Just as they bloom as a flower in adversity, I bloom with them. I build relationships with my students that are so strong that they give up documented over 2,100 hours of community service for student council for the community of El Paso. So first of all, I would just like to thank Teacher Federal Credit Union and Region 19 for this amazing event. Like they said, we're all really, truly rock stars this week, and they've made us feel so special. I am definitely putting that in my house for my husband, so I can always keep my eyes on him. So honestly, without your guys' support, this wouldn't be possible. I'd also like to thank my administration at my campus for always supporting me and all the charisma that comes along with me. It's honestly such an honor to be here in a room full of educators that are just as selfless and as passionate as I am. Not only to be considered the best of the district, worthy, but most importantly, repping a beautiful city of El Paso, home of Chico's Tacos, and the star shining bright on the mountain. So I'm showing Sandoval. I have a beautiful family. I recently got married on June 28th. Students will now be calling me Miss Villegas or Mrs. B. They're very apprehensive. They always want to listen. So my son, he's 6 years old. His name is Gabriel. My stepson is 8. His name is Nick. My mother and father both grew up here in El Paso, Texas. My mother, Belia, she's a wee bear, for any hostels that are out there. And my father, Mario, who passed away 7 years ago, he's actually a Coronado T-bird. As my mom would like to say, she married a T-bird that grew up on the other side of the tracks. So I'm going into my 11th year of teaching. I began my career in Missing Elementary. I have a former Mustang in the house, Lisa Haley here, as a 3rd grade teacher as a Mighty Mustang. I'm currently an 8th grade teacher at Parkland Pre-Engineering Middle School out in northeast side of El Paso. I was born and raised here in El Paso, Texas. In a loving home, I was a single child. I know everyone's thinking I'm chifle. So with my mother and father, I grew up in the 79924 zip code. It's a zip code that's known for broken dreams. Students are not supposed to be successful coming out of that zip code. Some of our students face some of the toughest obstacles over there. Drug and gang affiliation, high crime rate, poverty. But with all that being said, Walt Disney once said that the flower that blooms in adversity is the rarest and most beautiful of all. So as an educator and with all the educators in this room, I have to say that us teachers have probably one of the most exotic and beautiful gardens in all of this earth. And I truly, truly believe that. So let me go ahead and begin my story. I can babble on for days. So I grew up in the Parkland learning community. I went to Parkland Elementary, Parkland Middle School, and Parkland High School. I'm a proud product of YISD's Independent School District. I graduated in Parkland in 2005. I'm a Matador for life. YISD awarded me with my first ever scholarship before I graduated as a valedictorian there at Parkland High School. This really put my wheels in motion. The SLED Education Foundation made it possible for me to be a first-generation college student in my family. So now that I was a valedictorian, I had letters coming to my home. I had every option. I could go to Texas Tech, Texas A&M, UT Austin, sorry. So I could go anywhere. I could really choose to leave and go anywhere, full ride. But I chose UTEP. That's my goal. Because I always vowed, and it's in my SLED Education Foundation scholarship application, I had vowed that I was going to come back to my community and teach students that are in my neighborhood. It was my vow ever since I was in high school. So here I am, 11 years later, teaching at my alma mater. I'm teaching in the school that I grew up in, and I'm actually teaching in a hallway that I walked as a teenager. So for me, it's totally humbling and completely fulfilling. So when people ask me where I'm from, I say, I'm from the park. And I'm truly proud to say that. So my parents always taught me that with hard work comes success. Every day, even as an adult, that plays over and over in my brain. So I began my undergraduate studies at UTEP and graduated with my bachelor's in interdisciplinary studies in 2009. I think the icing on the cake was seeing my mother not supposed to make it to college graduation, and he was there. So it was a very special moment. And as I'm walking across stage of graduation, with hard work comes success, was playing on over and over in my head. And to this day, I instill that value and that moral into my students. So as soon as I graduated, I was ready and eager for my career to begin. So like I just told my story, I truly believe that all of us have a story. Every student who walks into our rooms year to year have a story, and as educators, it's our job to listen and to accept their journey and story along the way. So my road to becoming a teacher was paved by one very important person, and I'm going to go ahead and let you know that. So the big question is, why am I a teacher? Who am I? Who paved the way? So let me start first by saying that teaching really runs in through my veins. I live, breathe, sleep, bleed teaching. I get white hairs because of teaching. I get lots of sleep because of teaching. I love to teach. I'm known at my campus as the Energizer Bunny. I'm the one that never says no. I'm the no girl. Like, I always say yes to everything. I keep going and going. I'm known by my students as a huge ball of energy, and my positivity didn't come from nowhere. Early on, I knew I wanted to become an educator. I walked into my first grade classroom, and her name was Mrs. Chavez. This I carry, and I always hang with me in my classroom. Mrs. Chavez is right here, and I am in neon. I don't know who picked this outfit. Neon, ice cream, glitter sundae outfit right here. So, Mrs. Chavez is an educator at Parkland Elementary. She still teaches first grade at Parkland Elementary. So if you want to know dedication, all of us in this room, we truly are dedicated as educators, and that's true dedication. I was inspired by my first grade teacher, Mrs. Chavez. I truly believe to this day, because of her, that it takes one teacher or one individual in your life to pave your journey. One person has to be so impactful for you that it creates a road into the rest of your future. And I truly believe that Mrs. Chavez was that for me. So Mrs. Chavez, she was compassionate, she was kind, she was loving, all the qualities that the educators in this room exemplify. And I'm sure their administrators and their superintendents can say and justify just that. She always welcomed you with a smile. She had this smile from ear to ear, like she could smile and truly light up a room. She welcomed you every day. Her energy and her enthusiasm honestly poured out in her lessons daily. I remember I got my love of math from her, and I'm a math teacher now. It was with one lesson she taught us with these like bears, and to this day, that was my first purchase as a teacher. As a teacher, I ordered it on Amazon, and I ordered those for my first elementary classroom. She inspired me so much. She ignited this fire in me that just truly never burnt out. She was there for me in some of the hardest moments for my family. My father was ill pretty much all of my, all elementary levels. He was very sick, had open heart surgery. My parents went bankrupt twice. Things were not easy. Mrs. Chavez took it upon herself to always tell me that everything would be okay. And as educators, more often than none, we are always the person that's comforting our students, even in their toughest adversities. So my only hope is that I'm doing the same thing for my students every day, and that's inspiring. On my last day of first grade, I told Mrs. Chavez, and I stood like this, I'm going to come back and take your job. And it was in front of my parents. My parents were mortified. And so 26 years later, I won YSD Secondary Teacher of the Year, and I walked in with flowers into her classroom and surprised her and simply thanked her. Because it takes one person to truly impact you. Right now, I'm fighting back the tears, but instantly she buckled. And guess what she was teaching? Math. She was teaching math in the classroom. So as I left her room, I tell all the first grade students, you have the best teacher in the world, keep on learning. It was the most amazing experience in my life. This then leads me into my teaching philosophy. As educators, we must remember we are teaching human beings first. We must be compassionate, understanding, selfless, brave, and strong to teach young minds. In a world of chaos, we must teach with kindness first. Like I said before, everybody has a story, and we must listen first before we crack open our textbooks. I instill the values of respect and give my students a voice to be heard and to become confident learners above all. I instill to give back to our community, because our community, when you least expect it, will always give you hope and love in return in some of your deepest adversities. As an educator, I build strong, everlasting relationships with my students to create an environment where Room 507 just isn't a classroom, it's a home away from home, but a place where you create your own path and define your future. And Mrs. Chavez was my why I became an educator and why I have these morals. I chose to become an educator because it's not a job, it's a way of life for me, it's a lifestyle. Like many of us here will say, we don't go to work to go make money, we go to work because it's our life. I chose to become an educator because I want to be somebody's why. Why they decided not to drop out, why they decided to become a first-generation college student, why someone who told them that they can't, and I was the only one who believed in them. Why a student tells me I am their why to break the cycle of their family members being incarcerated and never amounting much because they wanted to be better for themselves and their families. All of these whys I received in letters at the end of my school year this year. They are true letters. At the end of every year, I have students write open letters to me to give them their voice and share how I can grow to become a better educator, not only for them, but for myself. Every day we grow. Honestly, my students, I have to say that are my inspiration day to day. I'm not an expert teacher, like I said, I grow every day. I'm humbled, honestly, to be in this room with people who are as passionate as me, but I'm even more humbled to know that I can and am a why for some of my students. Just as they bloom as a flower in adversity, I bloom with them. I build relationships with my students that are so strong that they give up documented over 2,100 hours of community service for student council for the community of El Paso. I build relationships that are so empowering that they make the right choices instead of wrong. And I build relationships with my students that they believe that they are more than a test score, but they have enough confidence to ace their exam for the first time ever in Room 507. So I chose to become a teacher to grow a garden of learners, leaders in the community, and strong, loving, and compassionate human beings. My message to you is to always teach with kindness and purpose, and you'll see your flowers bloom in the face of all adversity. And that is why I teach and who I am. Today we sit with candidates in Region 19 Teacher of the Year, not only to represent our region, but our city. Like I tell my students every day, your win is our win. So whoever represents whichever district is chosen to represent Region 19, we choose and we win for our city of El Paso. So all our students are winners and all the teachers in this room are champions. Thank you for your dedication and your selfless passion. So thank you.